Hello students, good morning. Today we are going to study Elegy written in a country churchyard written by Thomas Gray. Before we discuss this poem, we should have a look on Thomas Gray's life. Thomas Gray was born in 1716 and he died in 1771. He was an English poet, letter writer, classical scholar, and a professor at Pembroke College, Cambridge. He is widely known for his elegy written in a country churchyard, published in 1751. Gray was an extremely self-critical writer who published only 13 poems in his lifetime despite being very popular. He was even offered the position of poet laureate in the year 1757, though he declined it. His writings is conventionally considered to be pre-romantic poet. Now we will have focus on main theme of this poem. This poem is an elegy. As we know, what is elegy? Elegy is a mourning song sung on the death of somebody. This elegy, as it is called, is really a reflective poem in a plaintive mood and not a lament over a dead person. This is the main difference. It is perhaps the most widely known poem in the English language, or we can say in English literature. It expresses perfectly what most people have often felt, and it does so in a language which is so inevitable that we flatter ourselves that we could have expressed ourselves exactly thus. This poem appeals to the common reader. There is little in the poem to surprise or to excite our wonder, but there is much to touch our hearts. This poem raises the cause of humble rustic people, or we can say that this poem commemorates the humble or the rustic people. Now we are going to paraphrase this poem line by line. The first line of the first stanza: the curfew tolls the knell of parting day. From the very beginning, Thomas Gray is establishing his setting by saying that this is the time of evening, when the curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The curfew is a bell that rings at the end of the day. But again we have use of knell. Then what is knell? Knell is a bell that rings when someone dies. It means the day is personified here, and he is said to have died. So it is like the parting day is actually dying. This whole thing sounds like a metaphor. The second line, the lowing herd wind slowly over the lea, means the moving herd of cows or sheep makes its winding way over the lea. Lea means meadow, where the cow or sheep grazes. Then in the third line, the ploughman homeward plods his weary way. The ploughman means a farmer. Plods means to move slowly. The ploughman is moving slowly, but to where? To his home. After doing his day's work, he is going to his home and he is very much tired. But here we can say the poet has used the word weary way. Now that the cows and the farmer are out of the picture, the speaker gets everything in the world to himself, as we can see in the last line, and leaves the world to darkness and to me. Here we should notice the rhyming scheme. The first line ends with the day and it rhymes with the third line with way. In the same process, we can say the line 2 ends with Lee, rhymes with the line 4th that ends with me. Then we move to stanza number 2. Now fades the glimmering landscape on the sight. The glimmering landscape is fading from the poet's sight. Must be sunset. But we know it already from the first stanza. And all the air a solemn stillness holds. In this line, the poet is saying that the air is quiet too, except for the buzz of the occasional beetle and the tinkling bells hanging around the necks of cow or the sheep, given in the third line. Sounds peaceful and sleepy, like everything is winding down. Then there are some interesting literary devices in this line too. Solemn stillness is a great example of alliteration, and the speaker personifies the tinkling of the bells when he says that they are drowsy. So here we can say that the poet has used personification as well as alliteration. In the third stanza, save that from yonder ivy-mantled tower, the moping owl does to the moon complain, of such as wandering near her secret bower molest her ancient solitary wren. Here the poet is saying that there is an ivy-mantled tower. Here we can see more figurative language is used here. The speaker uses metaphor to describe the tower where the owl lives as ivy-mantled. A mantle is a kind of coat or so. The speaker is saying that the tower is dressed up in ivy. In the second line, the moping owl does to the moon complain. The owl is complaining to the moon. But what about he is complaining? He is complaining about a person who is near to her secret bower, molest her ancient solitary wren. Who is molesting her ancient solitary piece of kingdom? Thank you.